Okay, so our first lecture is going to be covering problem solving. So problem solving in a mathematics classroom is huge. It is, it's a specific TEK, but it's in every single TEK that you'll ever teach, because that is the basis of math, is can you problem solve? It's not what is 2 plus 2, because that's not the type of problems that these students are going to be seeing in real life. It's being able to apply that knowledge of 2 plus 2 into any situation. So we are going to start off talking about steps for problem solving, and then we're going to talk about some strategies. So this lecture will cover 4 strategies. So the steps we're going to go over is Polya's 4 steps for problem solving. And again, I would encourage you to be taking notes as you go along with this, because these could be questions like on a specific test or on your homework that you might want to refer back to. So the first step of problem solving is understanding the problem. So think about ways that you could help your student understand the problem. This is the first step. If you don't understand the problem, you can't go any further in any problem that you're ever going to solve. So understand the problem. Some ways that you could help students understand the problem. Maybe present a problem first and put them together with a partner and say, okay, talk about what this problem is asking, or what does this problem mean, or what do these words mean? Like, take a second with a partner and talk about it. You could have students, if they're really struggling with it, and maybe 1 or 2 do understand it, you could ask the students to describe it in their own words, and that might help. Or if one person describes a part of the problem really, really well and doesn't do another part, they could ask, you could say, what did so-and-so leave out? Like, can anybody add to his own words or whatever? So lots of different ways to understand the problem, but that's like the first step. And if you can't do the first step, you can't move on past that. So the next step is to devise a plan. So devise a plan. So devising a plan is basically picking a strategy. So for some problems, drawing a picture would work great. For other problems, drawing a picture might not be very good, because you'd have to draw 332 cows for your picture, and nobody wants to sit and draw that many cows for a picture. So then you might want to pick a different strategy depending on the problem. So this is where you think through. Okay, so that won't work, this might work, and you devise a plan. Once you devise a plan, you have to carry out the plan to solve the problem. During this step, I would strongly encourage you to have students use their plan, whatever plan it is. If they decided to draw a picture and they're going to have to draw 300 cows, make them carry out the plan. And once they get about 20 cows in, they're going to say, maybe that wasn't a very good plan. Maybe I should come up with a different plan. And that's more important for them to realize that than for you to tell them. Also, if their strategy they picked or their plan they picked isn't a correct, like there's not an incorrect strategy, but if like maybe they're using multiplication instead of addition or whatever, and it's going to give them incorrect answer, that's a great time for them to learn from that. So let them do the problem incorrectly and then realize what they did wrong in that. After you've carried out your plan, your last step is to look back. Okay, so this is where you say, is my answer reasonable? Okay, so is it a reasonable answer? And that is a huge thing for students to learn. A lot of students have trouble with that. So is my answer reasonable? Also, did I actually answer the question? Okay, so did I answer the question? Because if you got an answer, but it's not an answer to the question, you did all that work for nothing. So did I actually answer the specific question? Okay, so the 4 strategies we're going to go over today, we're going to cover more next time, but the 4 strategies we're going to cover today, we're going to call this our toolbox for problem solving. And the first one we're going to go over is trial and error. The second one we're going to go over is guess, check, and revise. And this one we use a table for. Table. The third one is drawing a picture. I know sometimes I write fast. If I'm writing too fast for you, you can always pause your video to catch up. And then the last one we're going to go over is using algebra. Okay, so as you're going through these problems on your notes and on your homework, make sure you're showing detailed steps and you're using words to explain your steps, because when I go to grade your homework or when I go to grade a quiz or a test, if I just see a bunch of numbers written on a page, I have a hard time understanding what your thought process is, so make sure you're using words to explain it. Okay, so we're going to do one problem and we're going to do it all 4 different ways. Okay, so our first problem is, so this is problem number 1. A farmer says, I counted 24 heads and 80 feet. And the question is, how many pigs and how many chickens are out there? Okay, so the first step is to understand the problem. So if you were in a classroom right now, I'd say talk with a partner about the problem. So think to yourself, what information do I need to know about this problem to be able to solve this problem? So take a second and think. So they told us heads and feet for pigs and chickens. And so the information we need to know about this problem is, I need to know that pigs have 4 feet and chickens have 2 feet. If I don't know that information, I can't solve this problem. Most students should know this, but maybe if you have an exchange student or a transfer student or a student that has never been around animals, they might have trouble with that. So that's something the students need to make sure, you need to make sure the students know first. Okay, so then we're going to devise our plan. So we're going to use trial and error for this, so I can show you this strategy. Okay, so the first strategy we're going to use is trial and error. Okay, and trial and error is literally just guessing. And this is what what lots of students go to. It's not even like guessing and then thinking about how far I was off to go back and make a new guess. It's just literally guessing. Okay, so for the trial and error, just start with a guess. Okay, so for guess number 1, we're going to say, let's do half pigs, half chickens. Okay, so if I have 24 heads, that means I have 24 animals in the yard. So guess number 1, I'm going to say is 12 pigs and 12 chickens. Okay, so I know pigs have 4 feet, chickens have 2 feet. So 12 pigs times 4 feet gives me a total of 48 feet. And 12 pigs times 4 feet gives me a total of, for chickens, I just rewrote it. So for 12 chickens, and for chickens have 2 feet. Sorry, my mistake. I told you I was going to make mistakes. You can pretty much guarantee it every video. So 12 chickens, 2 feet, have 24 feet. And so that gives us a total of 48 plus 24, you can use your calculator if you needed to, is 72 total feet. Okay, so that was just a guess. If I had half pigs and half chickens, 12 pigs, 12 chickens. Pigs have 4 feet, so that gives me 48 feet. 12 chickens have 2 feet, that gives me 24 feet. and then add my feet together, a total of 72 feet. Is that what I was going for? Is that what the problem's asking for? No. It asked for 24 heads, which I have here, and 80 feet. I only have 72 feet. So this is not the correct answer. Okay? We need 80 feet, not 72. Okay, so I'm going to do guess number 2. So guess number 2. Let's say instead of 12 pigs and 12 chickens, let's say 14 pigs and 10 chickens. So this is another part that they have to be able to know. How come I couldn't do 14 and 12? How come I couldn't do 14 and 16? How come I couldn't do 10 and 10? Because the number of animals I have has to add up to be 24 heads. Okay, so that might be something you need to talk with your students about, like if you were covering this problem. Okay, so 24 heads, 14 pigs would be 14 pigs times, pigs have 4 feet, and 14 times 4, you could use a calculator for, is 56 feet. 10 chickens, each chicken has 2 feet. So 10 chickens, 2 feet makes 20 feet. And then add my feet together, 56 feet and 20 feet gives me 76 feet. And this is total feet. Is that what I needed? No. I needed 80 feet. I only have 76 feet here, right? So for guess number 2, I have 24 heads, 76 total feet. So still not the right answer. We need 80 feet. And this one only gave us 76. Okay, so guess number 2 is incorrect also. So let's move on to guess number 3. So for guess number 3, let's guess 16 pigs. If I have 16 pigs, how many chickens can I have? We'll think 24 minus 16 is 8 chickens. And again, because 16 plus 8 equals 24 heads. So now let's check and see if this one works. 16 pigs times 4 feet, excuse me, gives me a total of 64 feet. And then 8 chickens times 2 feet gives me a total of 16 feet. And 64 feet plus 16 feet gives me a total of 80 feet, which was my goal. So since I have 24 heads and 80 total feet, my answer is, so not answers, answer. Students might want to put 80 total feet because that's the number they ended up with. What's the question actually asking for? How many pigs and how many chickens there are. So the answer would be 8 chickens and 16 pigs. Okay, so that was one strategy for solving this problem. The next strategy we're going to go over is the guess and check, or guess, check, and revise. So guess, check, and revise, and this is where we use a table for it. So this is similar to the trial and error. The difference with this one is we use the previous answer to come up with a new answer, and usually you only need 2 guesses here because your first guess, you use the information you got from your first guess to get the information to get the correct answer. Okay, so we're going to make a table here. Okay, so this is going to be my guess. So guess number 1, guess number 2, and I should have the answer. I could do guess number 3 if I needed to, but I should have the answer at this point. Okay, so the information we need to know We need to know about how many chickens we have. So number of chickens. I need to know the number of pigs. Again, pause if you need to catch up on this. I need to know the number of heads. And I need to know the number of feet. And then we're going to have two more columns here, and this is going to be kind of our thought process to go from guess 1 to guess 2. So here we're going to talk about the difference, and then here we're going to talk about our thought process. Okay, so pause and catch up if you need to. So for guess number 1, let's do half and half. Okay, so I have to have 24 total animals, so let's pick 12 chickens, 12 pigs. Okay, so now we can fill out the rest of this. The number of heads. If I have 12 chickens and 12 pigs, that makes 24 heads. And that's what I needed. Okay, so for number of feet, 12 chickens. Chickens have 2 feet each. 12 pigs have 4 feet each. 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 4 is 48. 24 plus 48 gives me 72 feet. Okay, so now in this part, we already did all this math over here on guess number 1. Okay, so for the difference, how many feet did we need? We needed 80 feet. We only got 72, so how many more? What's the difference? We need 8 more feet. Okay, so our thought process over here. Take a second and think, how many more pigs or how many more chickens would we need to get 8 more feet? So pause for a second and think about that. Okay, so our thought process is we need 8 feet. Excuse me. We need 8 feet. We gain 2 feet for every chicken. Excuse me, sorry. Replace with a pig. So every time we take off a chicken and put on another pig, we get 2 extra feet because pigs have 2 more feet than chickens. So if I need 8 more feet, that means I need 4 extra pigs than I already had. So I had 12 pigs, put 4 more on that, and I get 16 pigs. I took out 4 chickens to put in 4 more pigs, so I need to do 12 minus 4 here to get 8 chickens. And this should be our answer, so we're going to go ahead and check it. The number of heads, 8 plus 16, gives me 24 heads. 8 chickens times 2 feet plus 16 pigs times 4 feet is 16 plus 64, which is 80 total feet. And that's our answer. Okay, so our answer, we would still write out, it's not 80 feet, it's not 24 heads, it's 8 chickens and 16 pigs. Okay, so this one's different than the trial and error because this one has specifically, you do one guess and then you think about how you can get the right answer from the first guess instead of just guessing over and over and over again. Okay, the third strategy we're going to cover is drawing a picture. Okay, so drawing a picture. So we need 24 heads and we need it to have 80 feet. So let's start off just drawing 24 heads. So I'm going to write out my steps in words over here. And it's important to explain when you're drawing a picture because the person only sees the end result, which is the final picture. We didn't know how you got to that picture. So step number 1, we're going to draw 24 heads. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24. So drew 24 heads. Oh, so sorry. If you need to pause for a second and catch back up, feel free to. So draw 24 heads. Okay, so now chickens have 2 feet and pigs have 4 feet. So that means that every single animal has 2 feet no matter what. At least 2 feet, right? Pigs are going to have 2 extra, but every animal's at least going to have 2 feet. Okay, so that's my second step, is draw 2 feet on each head. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, all the way through with all your heads. So take a second to do that. Okay, so now that I have all those feet drawn, I need to count and see how many feet I have there. So count your feet. So a younger student will probably count 1, 2, 3, 4. We know I have 24 heads with 2 feet, so that would be 48 feet, right? So 48 feet is what I have right now. How many feet do I need for this problem? I need 80 feet. So if I need 80 feet and I only have 48, I'm going to subtract 80 minus 48, gives me a total of 32 feet. So I need 32 more feet than what I have right now. So I'm going to draw that on that. I'm not going to draw 32 feet on one animal. I'm going to put 2 until I get to 32. Okay, so now I'm going to draw 2 more feet until we added 32 feet. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. I added 32 feet, so now I would check and make sure I have a total of 80 feet. Once you count them up, you see that you have 80 feet. So from this, I can see these are the animals that have 4 feet, and these are the animals that only have 2 feet. So these are my chickens. These are my pigs. So my answer is, excuse me, count them up, 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 pigs. And 6, 7, 8 chickens, which is the same answer we've gotten every single time. Okay. The last method we're going to use for this problem is using algebra. Okay? So obviously this is not what a kindergartner or first grader or second grader is going to use, but it is a very efficient strategy. So this is something you should have learned in college algebra, 13, 14, which everybody should have passed or had a score on at least before you get into this class. So this is using systems of equations. So the information they told us is 24 heads, and so this is strategy number 4. So 24 heads and 80 feet. So 24 heads and 80 feet. So we need to label some variables. With systems of equations, you use 2 variables each time. So I could pick x and y, or I could pick any other variables. So here I'm going to pick a c for the number of chickens. and a P for the number of pigs. And also, just FYI, these variables will always be what the problem asks. Like, what's the question in the problem? And this problem said, how many pigs and how many chickens do we have? So that's why those are our two variables. Okay, so once we label our variables, we want to set up the equations. Okay, so the equations, I have two pieces of information, so that's going to be my two equations. So 24 heads. How in the world am I going to use C and P to get 24 heads? Well, 24 heads is just the number of chickens plus the number of pigs we have. So chickens plus pigs equals 24, right? So the next equation, so this is our head equation. Let me put that in red. So now we need a feet equation. So for 80 feet, would I put chickens plus pigs equals 80? No, because chickens plus pigs equals 24. What I need to put here is the whole idea of the number of legs. How many legs does a chicken have? It has 2 legs, so 2 times the number of chickens, because each chicken has 2 legs, plus pigs have 4 legs. 4 times the number of pigs equals 80. So that's our two equations we need here. And you might remember it, they usually have like a curly bracket on it like that. So after I set up the equations, my next step would be to solve the equations. And there are 3 methods of solving systems of equations. You can solve by graphing, you can solve by substitution, or you can solve by elimination or addition. These are kind of set up for the elimination method. So we are going to use that method here. Okay, so my two equations, C plus P equals 24, 2C plus 4P equals 80. So for my elimination method, I want one of my variables to eliminate. Right now, if I add these together, C plus 2C, I would get 3C, and they wouldn't go away. If I did P plus 4P, I would get 5P, and they wouldn't go away. So I need to pick one of my equations to multiply by a number, a constant, so that they would eliminate. So let's say we're going to eliminate our C's here. If I wanted to add something to 2C to make it go away, eliminate, get 0, it would need to be negative 2, because negative 2 plus positive 2 equals 0. So because of that, I'm going to multiply this top equation by negative 2. So my new equation is negative 2 times C is negative 2C plus negative 2 times P is negative 2P, and negative 2 times 24 is negative 48. I'm just going to rewrite this bottom equation underneath it. So 2C plus 4P equals 80. And now I can add these equations together. Negative 2C plus positive 2C is 0C. Those eliminate. Negative 2P plus positive 4P is 2P. And negative 48 and 80 gives me 32. You can use your calculator if you needed to. So now, simple equation, 2 times P equals 32. Divide both sides by 2. And 32 divided by 2 is 16. So what did I just find? I just found that 16 pigs are needed. Okay, so how do I find how many chickens I have? Would be our last step. Find C by plugging in P. So this is called back substituting. Pick one of your 2 original equations and put in 16 for the P. It doesn't matter which equations you choose, you'll get the same answer either way. I'm going to pick the top one because it looks a lot easier. So C plus P equals 24. I'm going to put in 16 for the P. So C plus 16 equals 24. To solve for C, I just subtract 16 from both sides, and I get C equals 8. So my answer is 16 pigs, because P was 16, and 8 chickens. Okay, so on your homework assignment, you will have 4 problems similar to these 4 using these methods, and I'll tell you specifically which method to choose.